Shalom, daughters of Yasharel. Grace, mercy, and peace be unto you from Yahuwah, our Father, and Yahusha. He is the Mashayah, the one who carries the burden of Yah. His voice, our high priest, soon coming King. Hear, O Yasharel, Yahuwah, who is our mighty one, he is one. There is no other mighty one, O Hutyam, than Yahuwah, and Yahusha is his voice. This is Ahut Dalilayah coming to you today with What is a Virtuous Woman? Part 2. What is a virtuous woman? Part 2. The characteristics of a virtuous woman. The characteristics of a virtuous woman fears Yahuwah. Mashalyah, Proverbs 31:30. Favor is deceitful, beauty is vain, but a woman that fears Yahuwah, she shall be praised. Now, let's take a look at what fearing Yahuwah means. In the Blue Letter Bible, Strong's H3373 says Yah-Ra. The Strong's definition of Yah-Ra means fearing, morally, reverent, afraid, fear, or fearful. Now, let's take a look at the parallel Paleo-Abaria script. It shows Yah-Ra, Yahuwah. To fear Yahuwah means to reverence Yahuwah, honor and respect Yahuwah. And if you fear Yahuwah, you will fear your husband as well. Another characteristics of a virtuous woman is a treasure to her man. Mashalyah, Proverbs 31:10. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. Mashalyah, Proverbs 12:4. A virtuous woman is a crown to her man, but she that makes ashamed is as rottenness in his bones. Mashalyah, Proverbs 31:23. Her man is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land. A virtuous woman is a treasure to her man because she honors and respects him. He can sit with the elders proud, knowing that he has a good woman, a virtuous woman, a woman who fears Yahuwah and honors him, and he will treat her like the queen that she is. Another characteristics of a virtuous woman is loyal and trustworthy. Mashalyah, Proverbs 31:11-12. The heart of her man safely trusts in her, so that he will have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. Being trustworthy and loyal is key to any relationship. Like Murray Daoud said in his video, he can go off to war and not have to bring home the spoil because his woman is waiting for his return and will take good care of him. She will do him good and not evil all the days of his life. A virtuous woman also helps her man. She is his helpmate. Her friends can go to her and know that whatever they tell her in private will stay between the two of them. She will not gossip, and that is being trustworthy and loyal. Another characteristics of a virtuous woman is a hard worker. Mashalyah, Proverbs 31:13-16. She seeks wool and flax and works willingly with her hands. She is like the merchant ships. She brings her food from afar. She rises also while it is yet night, and gives meat to her household, and a portion to her maidens. She considers a field and buys it. With the fruit of her hands she plants a vineyard. A virtuous woman is a hard worker, whether she works outside the home, in the corporate world, or in the home. Not only does she take care of her family and her home, she takes care of others as well. She works willingly and diligently to provide and help provide for her family. Another characteristic of a virtuous woman is crafty. Mashalyah, Proverbs 31:19. She lays her hands to the spindle, and her hands hold the distaff. Mashalyah, Proverbs 31:24. She makes fine linen and sells it, and delivers belts unto the merchant. She is crafty in all that she does, and she does it well. Another characteristic of a virtuous woman is kind and giving. Mashallah, Proverbs 31:20. She stretches her hand to the poor. Yes, she reaches forth her hand to the needy. She gives. She is kind. She gives with a cheerful heart and not with an attitude. She gives from her best, not from her last. Another characteristic of a virtuous woman has wisdom. Mashallah, Proverbs 31:26. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the Torah of kindness. She speaks with wisdom and kindness. She will speak life over her husband, her children, and others. She will lift and edify them, not tear them down. Another characteristic of a virtuous woman is strong. Mashallah, Proverbs 31:17. She girds her loins with strength and strengthens her arms. She is a strong woman. She takes care of her body and her ruah, her spirit. She takes care of her physical body and her spiritual body. She puts on the whole armor of Yahuwah so that she can withstand all the schemes of the enemy and fight. Ephesians 6:10-12 says, "Finally, my brethren, be strong in Yahuwah and in the full power of his might. Put on the full armor of Yahuwah, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." Another characteristic of a virtuous woman fights for her family. Pray. She's not afraid to fight for her family. And the best way to fight is on your knees praying for your family, interceding for your family. Pray to Yahuwah for your family. Another characteristic of a virtuous woman has faith. Mashallah, Proverbs 31:25. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come. She has faith. She has faith in Yahuwah. She trusts in Yahuwah wholeheartedly. She knows without a shadow of a doubt that Yahuwah will do what he says he will do. Now let's see some examples of some virtuous women that are in the book. The first example of a virtuous woman from the book, Shara. Shara was a virtuous woman. She was the wife of our forefather Abraham. She feared Yahuwah and her husband. She was loyal and trustworthy. You can read Barashiat chapters 11-23 to read about Shara. Another example of a virtuous woman from the book, Rebecca. Rebecca was a virtuous woman. She was the wife of Yitzhak. She was a virtuous woman because she feared Yahuwah, honored her husband, and she was righteous, kind, and loyal. You can read about Rebecca in Barashiat starting in chapter 24, verse 15. Another example of a virtuous woman in the book, Ruth. Ruth was a virtuous woman. She was the daughter-in-law of Naomi. She was loyal, kind, hard worker, and she feared Yahuwah. Ruth chapter 3:10-11. And he said, "Blessed be unto you of Yahuwah, my daughter, for you have showed more kindness in the latter end than at the beginning, inasmuch as you followed not young men, whether poor or rich. And now, my daughter, fear not. I will do to you all that you require, for all the city of my people do know that you are a virtuous woman. Another example of a virtuous woman from the book, Al-Yashaba. Al-Yashaba was a virtuous woman. She was the wife of Zachariah. She feared Yahuwah. She honored and respected her husband. She was faithful and righteous. Al-Yashaba was counted righteous because she walked in the way of Yahuwah and kept all his commandments and ordinances. Luke chapter 1, verse 6. And they were both righteous before Eluah, walking in all the commandments and ordinances of Yahuwah blameless. Now these examples of virtuous women that were in the book, were they perfect? No. But they all feared Yahuwah. They all respected and honored their earthly father, and they honored and respected their husbands. They all were strong, trustworthy, loyal. They took care of their husbands and family. They were faithful, caring, and honorable. They were all virtuous women. Now, stay tuned for the next What is a Virtuous Woman video. Shalom.